When the headline broke, the world froze. Trippie Redd, one of hip-hop's most unpredictable and emotional voices, had just been sentenced to life in prison for the shocking murder of Tekashi 6ix9ine's girlfriend, following the release of explosive new evidence that allegedly tied him to the crime. Within minutes, every corner of the internet was ablaze. Fans didn't want to believe it. News outlets scrambled for confirmation, and the hip-hop community, already reeling from years of feuds and betrayals, was in disbelief, according to court reports. New DNA evidence and digital communications surfaced linking Trippie Redd to the tragic killing evidence that prosecutors claimed painted a clear and irrefutable picture. The courtroom, packed with reporters and family members, fell silent as the judge read the sentence. Trippie, once known for his chaotic genius and emotional vulnerability, stood motionless as the words life imprisonment echoed through the room. Tekashi 6ix9ine was reportedly not present, but issued a statement through his team expressing both grief and shock. "This is a tragedy for everyone involved," the statement read. "No one wins here." Fans around the world reacted with disbelief, some insisting Trippie was framed. Others saying karma had finally caught up with a rivalry that spiraled too far. The music industry, stunned and somber, began to reflect on how fame feuds, and ego had again crossed the line into destruction, turning what was once a loud, colorful rivalry into a tragedy that ended two lives at once, one in death, and one behind bars forever. The story broke like a lightning strike across every major news outlet. Trippie Redd sentenced to life in prison for 6ix9ine's girlfriend's murder. At first, people didn't believe it. The idea that one of the industry's most eccentric, emotionally driven artists could be involved in something so horrific sounded like another wild internet rumor, until the footage of him leaving the courthouse in handcuffs surfaced. His head hung low, his signature red dreads covering his face, as reporters shouted questions he didn't answer. The caption beneath the image read, "Sentenced to life without parole after shocking new evidence emerges." The details unraveled slowly, piece by piece. According to prosecutors, the case stemmed from a crime committed 3 years earlier, a night that had long been buried under speculation and mystery. The victim was Sarah Molina, Tekashi 6ix9ine's longtime girlfriend and mother of his child. Her death, originally ruled a tragic, unsolved homicide, had suddenly taken on a new life after cold case investigators revisited the evidence with upgraded forensic technology. What they found, according to official statements, irrefutably connected Trippie Redd to the scene. The relationship between Trippie and 6ix9ine had always been toxic, a bitter feud that once dominated social media and hip-hop blogs. Their rivalry, fueled by jealousy, diss tracks, and betrayal, had become one of the genre's most chaotic sagas. The two had traded insults for years, clashing over fame, respect, and authenticity. Fans remembered the viral fights, the leaked phone calls, the accusations of disloyalty. But no one imagined it could end like this. Prosecutors laid out their timeline in excruciating detail. They claimed that on the night of the murder, Sarah had received multiple anonymous messages warning her to stay quiet about undisclosed industry secrets. Hours later, she was found dead in her apartment, the cause of death, a combination of blunt force trauma and asphyxiation. For years, the case had no solid suspects. But a recent technological breakthrough in DNA analysis allegedly revealed skin cells under her fingernails, cells that, after retesting, matched Trippie Redd's genetic profile. The courtroom was packed the day the evidence was presented. Journalists, fans, and even former collaborators filled the benches as prosecutors showed digital messages, tracking data, and surveillance footage from a nearby street camera. The footage reportedly showed a vehicle registered under Trippie's name circling the area of Sarah's apartment the night she was killed. The silence in the courtroom was suffocating. Trippie Redd's defense team argued that the evidence was circumstantial and manipulated. They claimed the DNA transfer was secondary, that Sarah and Trippie had once been at the same event days before her death, which could explain the trace, They insisted that Trippie was being framed, that his ongoing rivalry with Tekashi 6ix9ine had made him a target of both law enforcement and public fascination. "This is not justice," his attorney said. "This is vengeance dressed as evidence." But the prosecution's case was airtight. They played recordings of phone conversations in which Trippie allegedly made cryptic statements after Sarah's death. In one, he was heard saying, "He's gonna learn not to play with me. You don't disrespect my name and get away clean." While his defense insisted the comment was about another artist, the timing aligned too closely with the murder to ignore. When the verdict came down, the courtroom erupted in chaos. Trippie stood silently as the judge announced life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Behind him, his mother cried uncontrollably. Across the room, Sarah's family clutched each other, tears streaming down their faces. Outside, crowds of fans gathered, some shouting "Free Trippie," while others screamed for justice. It was a scene that felt like the tragic intersection of fame and failure. Another story of a star who had flown too close to the fire. Tekashi 6ix9ine was not present during the sentencing, but within hours, he released a statement through his lawyer. It was short, raw, and haunting. "This isn't a victory. My heart breaks for Sarah and for everyone destroyed by this madness. Fame twisted all of us. There's no coming back from this." The message struck a nerve. Even people who had once mocked their feud now saw the deeper tragedy, how ego, power, and rivalry had turned deadly. Social media exploded. Twitter trended with hashtag #TrippieRedTrial and hashtag #JusticeForSarah. TikTok users reposted old clips of Trippie and Tekashi together during their brief period of peace, highlighting how fast friendship had turned to hatred. Memes, fan theories, and breakdown videos flooded every feed. Some fans refused to believe the evidence, calling it a setup. "They always go after the loud ones," one post read. Others said the opposite, that the music industry had coddled bad behavior for too long. And this was the consequence. Meanwhile, reports surfaced that new collaborations and unreleased Trippie Redd projects had been pulled from streaming platforms, pending review. His label, faced with public outrage, quietly issued a statement expressing condolences to the victim's family while cutting ties with the artist. It marked the official end of one of hip-hop's most volatile careers. For those who had followed Trippie from the beginning, the fall felt surreal. This was the same artist who once wore his pain like armor, who turned heartbreak into melody, who sang about demons and love in the same breath. His music had always blurred the line between chaos and confession, but now, that chaos had consumed him entirely. By nightfall, news anchors across the country were replaying the same haunting clip. Trippie Redd being escorted out of the courtroom, his hands cuffed, his face blank. The once fiery, unpredictable star now looked hollow, a shell of the man who once screamed into microphones about never being understood. That as the camera lights flashed and the crowd outside the courthouse shouted conflicting chants, one question lingered in the air. How did it come to this? How did a feud built on pride and performance end in bloodshed and a life sentence? The answer, as one journalist put it later that night, was chillingly simple, because in this era of fame, even pain became performance, and no one knew where the act ended and the truth began. The days that followed Trippie Redd's sentencing were some of the darkest hip-hop had ever seen. News outlets couldn't stop replaying the moment the judge read the verdict. Life without parole, and the look on Trippie's face as he realized his freedom was gone forever. His mugshot spread across the internet within minutes. The bright red hair and tattooed tears, now symbols of downfall instead of rebellion. But behind the sensational headlines lay a deeper story, one of obsession, betrayal, and the thin line between fame and destruction. According to prosecutors, the motive for Sarah Molina's murder stemmed from years of festering animosity between Trippie Redd and Tekashi 6ix9ine. Their feud had started over music, but it evolved into something far uglier. Both men had once shared a brief friendship, collaborating on songs, exchanging praise online before jealousy and disloyalty tore it apart. The rivalry escalated when 6ix9ine accused Trippie of betrayal during a live stream that went viral, calling him a fake friend who hides behind melodies. In response, Trippie fired back with a diss track so venomous it reignited the long-standing tension between their fan bases. The hostility only intensified as both artists chased attention. Insults turned into threats, threats turned into confrontations, and soon personal lives became targets. According to testimony, Trippie reportedly made multiple references to Sarah Molina during interviews and social media rants, often mocking her relationship with 6ix9ine and using her name as bait in their feud. He was obsessed with embarrassing Tekashi, one prosecutor said in court. Every insult, every dig, it always came back to hurting him through her. But the defense painted a different story, one of manipulation and setup. Trippie's lawyers argued that his rivalry with 6ix9ine had made him an easy target for framing, especially given Tekashi's own history of legal trouble and enemies within the industry. They pointed out inconsistencies in the timeline and claimed that several pieces of new evidence had been mishandled. There are people out there who had every reason to see both these men destroyed, the defense attorney said. Trippie Redd was just the easiest one to blame. Still, the evidence told a haunting tale. Investigators revealed that Trippie had been near Sarah's neighborhood on the night of her murder, with cell tower data placing his phone within half a mile of the crime scene. Surveillance footage captured a figure matching his description wearing a hoodie and entering a side alley around the same time. Sarah's security cameras went dark. Prosecutors also uncovered messages between Trippie and an associate, referencing unfinished business just hours before the murder took place. The revelations sent shockwaves through the courtroom. Fans who once screamed his lyrics in packed arenas now watched in disbelief. He always rapped about demons, one fan tweeted. Guess he was really fighting them? Another wrote, this ain't the Trippie I knew. I don't believe it. Something about this feels wrong. Social media fractured into two camps. Those who believed Trippie was guilty beyond doubt, and those who insisted he was a scapegoat in a story too twisted to untangle. Hashtags like #FreeTrippie and #JusticeForSarah trended simultaneously. Conspiracy theories emerged overnight. Some claimed rival gangs planted evidence. Others believed Tekashi's associates orchestrated everything to ruin Trippie's life. But regardless of speculation, the conviction stood firm. Inside prison, Trippie reportedly remained quiet and withdrawn. Guards described him as non-confrontational but haunted. He refused visitors except for his mother and a close cousin. And his cell walls were said to be covered in handwritten lyrics, poems about fame, love, and regret. One guard told a reporter, he writes all day, doesn't talk, doesn't eat much, just stares out the window like he's somewhere else. Meanwhile, Tekashi 6ix9ine struggled to navigate his own emotions publicly. He had spent years being ridiculed for snitching, rebuilding his career from infamy, and now found himself tied to another tragedy. In a rare Instagram post, he wrote, "No one wins when hate wins. I lost someone I loved, and another man lost his soul. Fame is a curse disguised as a blessing." The comment section was filled with both empathy and skepticism, some applauding his maturity, others accusing him of playing victim. Sarah Molina's family, though, found no comfort in any of it. Her mother released a heartbreaking statement during the sentencing. "You took my baby from me. You didn't just end her life, you ended ours." She described Sarah as a mother, a sister, a woman trying to start over. Her voice broke as she turned toward Trippie and said, "You'll have all the time in the world to think about what you've done." The emotional weight of the trial began to ripple through the hip-hop community. Artists who had once dismissed beef as part of the culture started speaking out about accountability. Meek Mill tweeted, "This ain't competition, this self-destruction." Cardi B posted a photo of Sarah with the caption, "This could have been any of us. Protect women. Protect peace." Even Drake reportedly sent flowers to Sarah's family, writing a note that said, "Too much talent, too many tears. Rest in paradise." Meanwhile, the industry began cleaning house. Labels and managers started reevaluating how they handled feuds and online conflicts. Behind the scenes, executives admitted that the culture of viral beef had gone too far. Clicks turned into chaos, one record executive said. It's not just lyrics anymore, it's blood. As for Trippie, reports from inside prison suggested he had finally broken his silence. According to sources, he told his mother during a visit, "I didn't do this, but I can't stop what people believe." Those words sparked another round of debate online. Was he admitting guilt or still maintaining innocence? But the most haunting part came weeks later when a new video surfaced, unreleased footage of Trippie performing in the studio, months before his arrest. In it, he freestyled a chilling line. "If I fall, let me burn with my sins. Don't cry for me when the truth begins." Fans replayed that clip over and over, calling it a prophecy. Others saw it as a confession, hiding in plain sight by the end of that month. Trippie Redd's name had become a symbol, not of music but of madness. The rise and fall of yet another young artist swallowed by ego, violence, and the curse of celebrity. A generation that grew up idolizing chaos was now watching its consequences play out in real time. One journalist summed it up best in a late night segment. "This isn't just about one man or one crime. It's about a culture that confuses attention for love and anger for power. When the applause fades, what's left are the ruins." And as fans lit candles outside the courthouse in Sarah Molina's memory, the message was clear: no feud, no fame. And no record deal would ever be worth the price that had just been paid. By the time the verdict had sunk in, the world around Trippie Redd had completely changed. His name, once plastered across festival flyers and streaming charts, was now whispered only in the context of tragedy. In interviews, fellow artists refused to say much, some out of loyalty, others out of fear of being dragged into the fallout. The line between art and life had blurred so deeply that even those closest to him weren't sure where fiction ended and reality began. Inside his maximum security cell, Trippie Redd was living in a state of isolation. The prison guards reported that he rarely spoke. The colorful artist who once screamed his emotions into microphones now sat in silence for hours, staring at the gray walls. His only comfort, they said, was a small notepad filled with song lyrics and journal entries that no one had seen but him. Rumors spread that he was writing an autobiography, a final attempt to tell his side before the world forgot him completely. According to court filings leaked by insiders, Trippie's defense team was preparing an appeal. They believed inconsistencies in the forensic timeline could reopen the case. "There are gaps that don't make sense," one of his attorneys told Rolling Stone. "We're not giving up on proving his innocence." But outside the courtroom, few people believed redemption was possible. The public had already made up its mind. Trippie Redd was guilty, not just in law, but in legacy. Meanwhile, Sarah Molina's family continued their fight for justice beyond the verdict. Her mother started a foundation in Sarah's name to support women affected by violence in the entertainment industry. Donations poured in from fans, celebrities, and even anonymous sources. The foundation's slogan, "Her Voice Still Speaks," became a rallying cry across social media. Candlelight vigils were held in multiple cities from New York to Los Angeles, as fans and advocates came together to honor her life, not her death. Tekashi 6ix9ine made a surprise appearance at one of the memorials. Surrounded by cameras, he didn't perform, didn't rant, didn't promote. For the first time in years, he looked quiet, broken even. Standing in front of a mural of Sarah's face, he whispered to a friend, "She was the only one who ever told me to stop." That moment went viral instantly, humanizing him in a way fans had never seen. For a man who built his fame on chaos, the silence was almost poetic. In the months that followed, hip-hop began to shift. The tragedy had forced a reckoning within the culture. Record labels quietly implemented conflict clauses in contracts to prevent feuds from escalating into real-world violence. Influencers stopped glamorizing rap beefs for clicks. Even artists who had built their careers on provocation began publicly reflecting on their behavior. "We lost too many," one rapper said during an award show. "Clout shouldn't cost lives. Still, the question of guilt refused to fade. Online forums buzzed with conspiracy theories about planted DNA and tampered evidence. Independent journalists launched podcasts investigating the inconsistencies in the trial. One podcast in particular, The Last Verse, the Trippie Red case, gained millions of listeners as it dissected every detail from police reports to leaked text messages. In one episode, the host revealed something startling: a time-stamped image from Sarah Molina's phone that appeared to show her receiving messages from a third party, unrelated to Trippie, on the night she died. The prosecution never mentioned this in court, the host said. Why was this ignored? The revelation reignited the debate. Was Trippie Red framed? Did someone else have a motive? Or had the chaos surrounding him simply made him the perfect scapegoat? The podcast's popularity created renewed pressure on the legal system. And within months, Trippie's lawyers filed a motion to review the evidence. The court agreed to revisit certain elements of the case, a small but significant win in prison. Trippie got the news through his attorney. For the first time in weeks, he reportedly smiled. Maybe the truth still breathes, he said quietly. He began corresponding with a journalist who had been covering his story since the beginning. Through letters, he described his mental state, his regrets, and his lingering belief that the system wanted a headline, not the truth. Wanted a headline, not the truth. The letters, later published in excerpts, showed a man stripped of ego, one who sounded less like the loud, rebellious artist fans once knew, and more like a reflective poet trying to make sense of his downfall. I was angry at everyone. One letter read, at 6ix9ine, at the fans, at myself. But sitting here, I realized none of that matters. The hate just kept feeding itself until somebody died. And now, no one wins. Those words sparked another wave of discussion. Commentators and cultural critics debated whether Trippie's remorse was genuine or strategic, whether his letters were a cry for forgiveness or an artist's last attempt at control over his narrative. Either way, they changed something. The public tone softened slightly. Some fans began advocating for an appeal, arguing that everyone deserved a chance at truth, even those condemned by the world. Meanwhile, Tekashi 6ix9ine largely withdrew from the spotlight. His social media went silent and he canceled several performances, citing mental exhaustion. In one rare interview months later, he addressed the situation for the first time in depth. I hated him, Tekashi admitted, but I never wanted this. We both got caught in the circus, and now I just wish we had shut up sooner. The interviewer asked if he believed Trippie was guilty. Tekashi paused, then said, I don't know anymore. Maybe we both created a monster bigger than us. That statement shook fans. For the first time, 6ix9ine seemed unsure. Not defiant, not defensive, just human. By the end of the year, the industry had begun to move forward, but the shadows of the case lingered. Trippie's unreleased music leaked online. Songs that sounded raw, stripped down, filled with sorrow and regret. Fans described them as confessions wrapped in melody. Some even claimed one track contained hidden lyrics referencing Sarah's death. They painted me the villain when I only needed peace. Whether it was genuine reflection or coded denial, the songs reignited public fascination with his story. The appeal process dragged on quietly. But in the court of public opinion, a strange duality emerged. Trippie was both condemned and canonized a villain in the legal system, a tragic antihero in the eyes of his diehard fans, and as the world moved on, one thing became certain. The story had changed hip-hop forever. The spectacle of feuds, trolling, and clout chasing had lost its shine. Artists began talking more about therapy than threats, collaboration over competition. In a culture long defined by bravado, vulnerability had become the new rebellion. In the end, Trippie Red's fall became more than a headline. It was a mirror held up to an entire generation, a reminder that fame can amplify everything: the art, the ego, and the anger until it consumes the person behind it. Whether guilty or framed, the damage was done. One woman was gone, one man was imprisoned. and another lived every day, knowing his feud had set the match that burned them all. And as one journalist wrote in the final lines of a documentary about the case, there are no winners in this story, only ghosts. The ghost of a woman silenced too soon, of a man swallowed by pride, and of a culture finally learning that every word, every feud, every post can carry the weight of life and death. When the cameras turned off and the noise finally faded, what was left wasn't fame or music, it was loss. One woman's life cut short, one man condemned, and another forever haunted by what fame turned them all into. Trippie Redd's story became more than a tragedy. It became a warning. In chasing validation, he's lost everything that made him human. Now it's your turn. Do you think Trippie Redd was truly guilty? Was he just another casualty of a system that thrives on chaos? Can redemption exist when the damage runs this deep? Drop your thoughts below, because in the end, this wasn't just a story about crime. It was a reflection of how far fame can push a person before there's nothing left to save.